All right, y'all. I hope everybody can hear me. I hope I can be heard. Um, it's Thursday, and I'm on the front porch. So if you've been watching me on Facebook so far, you know that I've been coming out here the past couple of weeks. And just to give some people a background, because some of you're just logging in for the first time. We've had some new brothers join the group. So this, first of all, hello and welcome. But this got started from an incident I had back in 2006, 2007. It's in the first video. I talk about it. My wife suggested that I start a group of just black males getting together, supporting each other, and sharing these stories of injustices, racism, and things of that sort that have happened to us, so we could have a place to vent. Time goes on, and then we had the incident with Mr. Floyd, and so I was walking one morning, and I decided the time is now. As you all know, if you know me well, you know that my wife has departed this life, so she's gone on. She passed on. So also this is to kind of honor her. And what these front porch discussions are going to do, I hope, is just open the eyes of individuals, both black and white, to incidents that happen to people, whether you're educated, non-educated, whether you're young, you're old, tall, short, fat, whatever. As black males, we have so many things that we see that others may not see. And although black women are black and they incur a lot of these injustices, they too can't even understand the nature and the things that black men go through. So that's what this is about. Hopefully it'll start dialogues in people's homes and offices, street corners, so on and so forth, and get people to start talking and start showcasing and sharing some of these things that have been happening, because again, a lot of people don't even think that these things happen. Fellas that are out there, I need you to do me a big favor, man. I need you to start recording videos and posting them to Facebook and Instagram. You can put them in the front porch discussions pages on Instagram and on Facebook, but I encourage you to share them to your page as well. Always use the hashtag front porch discussions, and please tag me in those, because I like to share them in the groups. Eric Salim has done one. Big shout out to him. So why did I call it front porch discussion? I say front porch discussions because we know in our community, in the black community, especially if you're down south, the front porch is a place of community. It's a communal place. It's where people come, girls get their hair braided, grandmother shells peas and butter beans, neighbors come and congregate, and like I said before, we even have the audacity sometimes to take the grill out and cook out front. So a lot of discussions about our community, about our families, about church, religion, so on and so forth, take place on the front porch. So that's why I called it front porch discussions. And before I go any further, I do want to give a shout out to my man, Ronji Hatchell, Hatchmatics, for this North Carolina Central University t-shirt. So if you went to NCCU and you want to get some NCCU material, please holler at Ronji on Facebook at Hatchmatics, 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 Hatchmatics. And before we get going, because I'm titling this one Differences, and I'll explain that in a minute, but before we get going, how many of y'all have witnessed people driving around with their mask on in their car? I'm trying to figure out what is going on with that and why. Is COVID sitting in the passenger seat or something? I'm missing it, so somebody needs to tell me. But I'm titling this one Differences because although as human beings we're all the same, made the same, there are some differences within the ethnic groups themselves. And I'm not just talking about black to white. There are differences within the black community. Some people, parents have a little more financial stability than others. Some people's cars are different, their education levels. So we know there are differences amongst all of us as there are similarities. But as a black male, and comparing yourself to males of other colors, not so much those that are brown, but definitely those that are white males, you're brought up a different way. And that's black people in general. But I try to keep this focused on black males for the most part, so women, please don't get offended. We learn at an early age, and it's passed down generation to generation. It's almost like it's hereditary. It's almost like it's genetic. When we go into a store, we know not to touch things. We're told that. When we're approached by law enforcement, we're taught to keep your hands open, keep your hands clear, don't make any sudden movements, things of that sort. I'm noticing that our white counterparts don't have to have those same talks with their sons. They don't get those same talks. And if you've been watching TV, you can even witness that. You know, they'll be combative with a law enforcement officer. Well, we're conditioned, programmed, and trained to be very, very meek and very, very humble. And it tears at your manhood. It can tear at your manhood. I've had those instances where you have to bite your tongue, and it's not meaning that you're soft or a sucker, but it means that you're trying to be alive to go home. All right? So, you know, that's just something that we've had to deal with that they don't. We actually live in the same world, but we're in two different worlds. And I'm going to give you an example of that, just how their thought processes, due to privilege, are just so free in things that we wouldn't think of. And as you guys know, I always try to give a story about this. So, working at a middle school here in Durham as a teacher, I think it was my first year. My friend and myself, he won't mind me saying his name, Mr. Edward Boyd. We're teaching social studies, and this guy taught language arts. He's a white guy. He's gone on now to be a principal over in Raleigh. I won't say his name. I'll just keep his name out of it. But it's on this one particular morning, we got together in Ed's classroom, and we were just discussing what we had done the night before. We all watched the game, talking about the game. And this guy says, well, I had a rough night. I went out to watch the game. So I leave out my apartment. This apartment was on the second floor. Leave out my apartment, get to my car, and realize I locked the door and locked my keys in the house. Didn't have my keys. So most people would have forgotten about going out and just tried to get back into their apartment. But he's like, I had a spare key in the tire well for the car, so I just hopped in the car and went on out. I had my wallet and everything. So he went out, watching the game, drinking with his buddies, having a good time. Now, let me explain his attire. He had on jeans, he had on a hoodie, he had on some sneakers. So, it gets late, he comes back home to go to his apartment, and we're talking like 12:30, because he'd been out watching the game with his fellas. And in the apartment complex where he lived, he knew there was a guy that did construction or was a contractor and had a truck and had a ladder on it. So when he gets back to his apartment complex and gets to where his apartment is, he knew he couldn't get in, so he's like, what am I going to do? This guy that had that truck happened to be coming home. Now, at this point, it's raining as well. He gets out of his car. He goes over to the guy's getting out of his car, and says, hey, man, I locked my keys in my apartment. I always leave my sliding door at the balcony on the back open. I leave it unlocked. Can I borrow your ladder to go up to the second floor and get into my apartment? That right there floored me and Ed to death. With a hoodie on, 12:30 at night. I would never, ever, ever ask a man for a ladder to get into a house, because my thought process is he's going to think I'm trying to break in. My thought process is no, he's not going to give me the ladder, and as soon as he gets inside, he's going to call somebody to have them come check me out. I have on a hoodie. I wouldn't ask that man that with a shirt and tie on. So that's explaining just how we have differences, how they're free. He and when Ed and I started laughing when he told us, he just couldn't even understand, like, why wouldn't you ask him? Why would that mean anything? You know, and he's not a racist person, so he just didn't get it. He was like, well, I would give you guys the ladder. And he just doesn't understand the world that we live in. We live in two worlds. As black people and as black males, we have to be able to code switch. We got to be able to go into the boardroom, use our SAT words, and we got to be able to go back on the block and be able to use our slang and ebonics and talk to people the way we grew up. So it's crazy. So he went on. The guy gave him the ladder. The guy did not even stay to get the ladder back. He just told him, look, once you're finished, just put the ladder back on my truck. So needless to say, the guy that he was talking to was a white guy also. So it was a very trusting situation. It's a situation, like I said, that I wouldn't have given myself the chance to even ask, and I'm not afforded that ability to ask someone to use a ladder. Another situation, I was working over at I won't say the university, but I was working in a situation in a call center like type situation where they were doing a lot of different studies. And so on this one particular night, there was a young man that worked there. He was a white guy, and he was a goth. If you all know what that is, that's the guys that wear all black, even paint their fingernails black, sometimes long hair, short hair, trench coat, all that type stuff. Some of the guys that you've seen stereotypically in these mass shootings and things of that sort. So he worked there as well. And it was late one night, and the supervisor was there. She was an older white female, forgot her keys for whatever it was, and she had to come back and get them. When she came back to get them, she met this young man coming out of the shadows in the parking lot. And she was telling us this story, and it's myself and two other black guys there, and this young man. And she, I looked at her, I was like, oh, I know you were kind of nervous. He kind of scared you. And she was like, nah, I wasn't nervous. He didn't really scare me. I said, ugh. And we used to joke with the guy all the time. I was like, well, look at him. He would make me nervous. I think he's going to shoot up the place. And she giggled, and I said, well, why are you laughing? I said, well, had it been me, and at that time I had on a hoodie, Timbs, and some jeans. Had it been me coming out that night, would you have been nervous? And she immediately said, yes, I'd have been terrified. I said, but why? And now this lady knows me. I had a master's degree at the time, was finishing my master's degree. The guy that she's talking about, and this, education, I'm not getting on anything. I'm just saying, when you start comparing apples to oranges and looking at people, he hadn't even finished high school. He dropped out. So she was willing to not be scared of me, someone that she's seen before, someone who was educated, someone that wouldn't be posing that type of threat, because I'm not trying to rob nobody. But she wouldn't be scared of him, but she would be scared of me. And it all went down to the fact, and she admitted it, because you're a black man. So those are the things that are different. A lot of differences, just some stories that have happened to me. Again, fellas, I encourage you to post up the stories of your injustices and racism, whether it happened directly to you or a friend of yours and you were present. Make sure you put the hashtag Front Porch Discussions. Make sure you tag me in them on Instagram and on Facebook. And I hope I'm opening up some dialogue and getting people to talk in their workplace, inside of their homes, sharing with their friends, because I have friends of all races, some tighter than others. But we need to start this dialogue so that people can realize what's going on, what's taking place, and really pull things to the forefront. So, black men, this is a place for us to have our discussions. Make sure you hit the group on Facebook, Front Porch Discussions. Share all types of stuff there that's dealing with us so we can have some dialogue. And I hope to expand this platform from just me doing videos. Hopefully I'll start having some guests. I know I may be saying and ah a lot, but I'm going to get better, y'all. I'm going to get better. I trust and believe that. And I want to boost this into having something like a podcast and even bigger than that. So I thank you for the support. Please spread the word. Black men recruit other black men. Black women, thank you for supporting us. for years and years and years. You all are the backbone of our race. Without you, we wouldn't have our existence. So I applaud all black women. I love black women to death. So y'all share this with your husbands, brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever. Get them to join as well. And let's make this a movement. I'll talk to y'all later.